Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please be seated. Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last names.
Antoinette Gill, Antoinette. Last name Gill.
Ms. Gill, good afternoon.
Hi.
Let me provide you with some instructions which I give to every witness in every case. The first, please sit back and relax. The second, please speak in a loud voice so all of us can hear you. The third, if you are called upon to provide an answer to a question and you can answer it yes or no, use those terms rather than slang which can be a little confusing. And lastly, please wait until you hear an entire question before you even start to answer it. In our everyday lives, many of us think we know the answer, so we start answering a question before we hear the entire question. In court, wait till you hear the whole question first and then respond. Is that acceptable?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Brazil, a direct exam, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Gill.
Good afternoon.
Where do you live? What city and state?
I live in Las Vegas, Nevada.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm self-employed. I'm a cosmetologist.
Do you work in a specific location?
Yes, I work at a hair studio in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Do you recognize the defendant in court, Conrad Murray?
Yes, I do.
How long have you known the defendant?
For over 10 years.
Indicating Dr. Murray, the defendant.
Thank
Okay.
you, Your Honor.
I've known Dr. Murray for over 10 years.
And how is it that you first came to know him?
I was referred to him by a client of mine.
At some point, did you become a patient of his?
Yes.
Ms. Gill, sometime in mid-June, did you receive a letter from Dr. Murray's medical practice?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I have an exhibit previously marked as People's Number 40. Ms. Gill, I'd like you to take a look at the exhibit that I'm placing on the overhead projector.
We'll dim the lights for a moment.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Gill, are you able to see what has been marked as People's Exhibit 40 that's been placed on the projector?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that look familiar to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the letter or a copy of the letter that you received from Dr. Murray's medical practice informing you that he would be going on a sabbatical?
Yes, ma'am.
Once you received that letter, did you contact Dr. Murray?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that? What date?
That was June 25th, 2009.
Approximately what time did you call Dr. Murray?
Between the hours of 8 and 9.
Did you call him at his office?
No, ma'am.
How did you reach him?
By cell phone.
And so you called Dr. Murray's cell phone number, and did he answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a conversation with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember the conversation that you had with him?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a conversation for a short or a long period of time, do you remember?
It was a very short conversation.
Was there anything unusual about the conversation, or would you say that it was just a typical, normal type of conversation that you'd had on the phone with Dr. Murray on other occasions?
It was normal.
Ms. Gill, before coming to court today, did you take a look at some phone records that depicted your cell phone number on the date of June 25th and the time of the call that you placed to Dr. Murray's cell phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Showing you People's Exhibit number 52. Your Honor, may I ask the court to dim the lights one more time? Thank you, Mrs. Benson.
Mrs. Benson, thank you.
Ms. Gill, directing your attention to where my red laser pointer is, do you see your phone number next to the time of call, 8:49 a.m. in yellow?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your phone number, 702-683-5217?
Yes, ma'am.
You can turn the lights on, Ms. Benson. Thank you. So you had a brief conversation with Dr. Murray, and you had received that patient letter. Were you seeking a referral for another physician?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever receive a referral for another physician?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Gill. I have no further questions.
Ms. Brazil, thank you. Cross-examination?
No questions. Thank
Sure
you.
enough, thank you. May Ms. Gill step down subject to recall? Ms. Brazil?
Yes, thank you,
Ms.
Your Honor.
Chernoff?
Yes, certainly, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Gill, I want to thank you for your testimony. Please don't discuss it or the facts of the case with any other witnesses till we finish the trial. While you may step down and leave, you are to remain on call, and that means you're subject to being recalled up until the end of the trial if necessary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
May I see counsel, please? Thank you.
Do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated.
Thank you.
Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last names.
Consuelo Nung, Consuelong.
Ms. Ong, good afternoon. Let me
Good afternoon.
provide you with some instructions which I give to every witness in every case. The first is to please sit back and relax. The second of which is to speak in a loud voice, and that way everyone can hear you. The third is if you are called upon to provide a yes or no answer, please use yes or no rather than slang uh-huh or uh-uh, which can be confusing. And the last is to please wait until you hear an entire question before responding. Many of us every day think we know an answer to a question, so we interrupt it. But in a court, it's important to just have the entire question asked first and then the response thereafter. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Brazil, direct exam.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Ms. Ung.
Good afternoon.
Do you recognize the defendant, Conrad Murray, seated here in court today?
Yes.
May the record reflect she's indicating the defendant.
Yes, please.
Ms. Ung, when did you meet the defendant?
I met him sometime 2000. I don't really remember the date, but I met him through my grandmother,
Was it around 2003, 2004?
somewhere on the date.
And was the defendant treating your grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
After the defendant treated your grandmother, did he improve her health and help save her life?
He did.
And did you then begin to work in his office?
Yes.
Describe how that came about, please.
Well, I asked him if I could volunteer in his office, and he said that's okay.
Were you also working someplace else?
Yes.
Where was that?
In a group home.
Were you acting as an attendant at the group home?
A caregiver.
Are you a registered nurse?
No, ma'am.
Are you a licensed vocational nurse?
No.
I'd like to fast forward now to June of 2009. Had you been working in Dr. Murray's office, actually volunteering in Dr. Murray's office for a period of time
Yes.
as of June?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you volunteered fairly consistently from 2005 until 2009?
Yes.
How many days per week on average were you volunteering in June of 2009?
I would be there like 5 days a week.
Describe for us what type of duties you performed in Dr. Murray's office.
I kind of help in filing. I answer phones. I help in the front too. I help in the back too. So,
When you say you help in the back, describe for me what you would do.
like I would triage patients when needed, meaning taking vitals, blood pressure, pulse rate.
This was in Dr. Murray's Las Vegas office, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was that office physically located? What street?
On Flamingo.
Would you describe the office layout briefly? For example, how many examination rooms?
There are like 4 exam rooms, 2 rooms he uses for patients. 1 room, there's an extra room, another room that we have where we have the ECP machines, and then there were 2 offices in the back, a break room, the front office, waiting areas for the patients, and then we have another like 2 more rooms on the other side, and a bathroom.
And you said the ECP room, is that a specialized room where patients come in for therapy to assist them in their recovery after procedures performed by Dr. Murray?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know a patient, Robert Russell?
Yes.
Is he one of the patients who used the ECP room that you've described for us?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, besides yourself, who else worked in Dr. Murray's Las Vegas office?
There were 3 other girls. One is Carol, Sarah, and Leah.
You've told us what type of jobs you perform. Tell me what type of duties that Carol performed in the office.
Well, everybody's cross-trained, but Carol mostly handles the front. But if needed, she covers in the back too, because everybody's does everything.
And what are the front office duties? What would you characterize them to be?
It's like checking in patients, answering the phones, scheduling patients, then getting authorizations and verifying insurances.
Authorizations, referring
For-
to insurance authorizations?
Yes,
And what was the last thing you said regarding insurance?
a verification of insurances.
What's the average age of the patient population at Dr. Murray's Las Vegas office?
Sustained.
Did Dr. Murray's office treat specifically and exclusively heart problems?
Yes.
Describe for me, please, what Miss Tanner or Leah did in the office.
Leah does back office too. She answers calls, files, help in the front if needed.
What about Sarah?
The same thing.
Same thing? Mm-hmm. Is that yes?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Is Carol a registered nurse?
No.
Is Leah a registered nurse?
No.
How about Sarah?
No.
Is Carol a licensed vocational nurse?
No.
Is Leah a licensed vocational nurse?
No.
Is Sarah a licensed vocational nurse?
No.
So all of you basically did anything that needed to be done in the office. Is that
Yes.
accurate?
Yes.
Was there someone outside of the office setting in Las Vegas who handled other aspects of the office work?
We have an assistant administrator.
And who is the assistant administrator?
That's Miss Stacy.
And where did Miss Stacy work out of?
She's based in San Diego.
What type of duties did Miss Stacy handle?
Mostly administrative.
And would you describe what that would be?
Like office ordering of supplies. If we need anything, she handles that. She also does payroll. No, she doesn't do the payroll, but she processes it, submit it to the payroll service, and Dr. Murray's credentialing, mostly administrative.
So would you, ladies in the office, be in contact with Miss Stacy if you needed something?
Yes.
Describe the office hours that were kept in Las Vegas, please, during the the entire year of 2009. On what schedule would you see patients?
Every other week, Dr. Murray's in Las Vegas, and then the following week he'll be in Houston.
So basically, Dr. Murray's schedule alternated 1 week in Houston and 1 week in Las Vegas, correct?
Yes.
Was your office in Las Vegas open when Dr. Murray was practicing in Houston?
Yes.
Did you see patients in Las Vegas when Dr. Murray was not there?
For some procedures,
What types of procedures?
like an echocardiogram and the ECP.
Who would perform the echocardiogram procedures during the times that Dr. Murray was not in the Las Vegas office?
An echo tech that comes in when we have procedures.
So someone from the outside would actually come in, sort of set up shop in the doctor's office, perform the echocardiograms,
Yes.
and then provide you ladies with the information?
Yes.
And the ECP therapy, that would be conducted in Dr. Murray's absence by any one of you ladies, you, Leah, Carol, or Sarah?
Yes.
And what did that consist of? What did you need to do to help someone who came in for ECP therapy?
Like, you mean the procedure, how we do it?
Yes.
Okay. We wrap the lower extremities. We put the patient on blood pressure cuff and check the oxygen level too. And then we hook up the patient on the machine.
Describe for me how you check the oxygen level.
We have a machine that we use to check the oxygen level, an oximeter machine.
And how would you connect that oxygen machine to the patient to check the...
The finger.
So you'd stick an object on the patient's finger and you would have some sort of reading about their oxygen?
Yes.
And then what would you do with that information?
We just log it, put it in the computer.
And you would do the same with checking the blood pressure of the patient?
Yes.
During the course of their therapy, how many times would you perform those checks?
Objections are relevant at this point.
I don't
Saying
remember.
The partial answer strict. Disregard. Thank you.
When Dr. Murray was not in the office in Las Vegas, did he have contact with any of you?
He would call the office.
And who would he typically speak to when he called the office?
Anybody that picks up the phone.
Would he call on a daily basis when he was away?
Yes.
When Dr. Murray was in Las Vegas, did you see patients on a full day or partial day basis?
Partial day basis.
Did Dr. Murray perform procedures in his Las Vegas office?
No.
Were his patients treated for their procedures at a local hospital?
Yes.
And when were those procedures scheduled? Afternoon, morning?
When he's not seeing patients, usually on a Friday, he does procedures the whole day. And when he's not in the office, he usually does his rounds and other procedures too in the hospital.
Ms. Ung, in June of 2009, did you know that Dr. Murray was spending time in California?
No.
When Dr. Murray was out of your office in Las Vegas, did you know where he was located?
No.
In June of 2009, did Dr. Murray direct you to cancel some patients' appointments?
What specific? Are you talking about a specific day or?
Not specific. I'm asking you to think back in the months of June. Did Dr. Murray instruct you or anyone else at your staff to cancel some appointments?
There were times that he would call and say to reschedule patients.
Are you familiar with the letter that was sent out from your office around June 15th of 2009 informing Dr. Murray's patients that he would be leaving his practice for a period of time?
Yes.
Ms. Ung, can you see the letter that's up on the screen?
Yes.
Do you recognize that letter?
Yes.
Is that the letter that was sent out from Dr. Murray's office informing his patients of his upcoming sabbatical? Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Is that the same letter that was sent out from your office?
Yes.
Did Dr. Murray tell you that he was going to be leaving the office in Las Vegas and traveling to Europe?
Yes, he told us that he will be traveling on a tour, and he will be leaving the office.
Did you know that Dr. Murray was the personal physician for Michael Jackson?
We were told.
And who told you that?
Dr. Murray,
When did he tell you that?
I don't remember.
Was it shortly before the patient letter went
I
out,
think that
or
was before, yeah, I think
some months or weeks before that?
before the letters went out.
Were you going to keep working when Dr. Murray left and went on the sabbatical?
Yes,
Was another physician going to come in and take over for the patients?
yes,
Had that been set up?
no.
Ms. Ung, turning now to June 25th of 2009, were you working in Dr. Murray's office that day?
Yes.
Who else was working in the office besides yourself?
Carol, Leah, and Sarah.
Do you recall anything unusual occurring that day?
No. Only towards the, like after lunch when we came back.
Before we get to the lunch time, earlier before lunch,
Excuse me.
Need some water?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
did Dr. Murray call into the office to speak with you or someone else that day?
I did. I found out that he called.
Did you speak with him personally?
No.
But someone else spoke with him, correct?
Yes.
Ms. Ung, is your office number at Dr. Murray's office 702-866-6802?
Yes.
Indicating what exhibit, please?
52.
Thank you.
Ms. Ung, were you aware that there was a phone call from Dr. Murray to Global Cardiovascular for approximately 32 minutes placed by Dr. Murray at 11:18 a.m.?
No,
You didn't speak to him, correct?
I did not.
But somebody else may have in your office.
Probably.
And you indicated that it would be his habit to call into the office when he's not there, correct?
I'm sorry.
Was it Dr. Murray's normal habit to call the office when he was away from the office?
Yes.
And you indicated that sometime after 12, you all went to lunch?
Yes, ma'am.
And who went to lunch?
Me, Carol, Leah, and Sarah.
And at some point you returned from the office?
Yes.
Were you seeing patients that day?
No.
At some point did you learn that something catastrophic had happened involving Michael Jackson?
Yes. When we got back, I got a call. I answered the phone. I got a call from our biller, and he said that something happened to Michael Jackson. And that's when we found out.
Did you ever hear from Dr. Murray that day?
No.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Ms. Brazil, thank you. Cross-examination by the defense. Mr. Chernoff? Thank you.
Ms. Ung,
Yes.
are you comfortable?
Yes.
You look nervous.
No.
You're not nervous? Okay.
No.
Where do you live?
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas. Did you get a subpoena to testify in this?
I did.
Okay. And where have you been all day?
Today?
Yeah, today.
Oh, at the hotel?
At the hotel. Waiting to testify?
Yes.
Okay. You came in for this testimony?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to be very brief, okay? So just want to talk about some of the things Ms. Brazil talked about.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about Dr. Murray's schedule. On Mondays, well, let's see if I get this straight. Mondays and Wednesdays, he sees patients in the afternoon,
Yes.
right? On mornings, he does his rounds at the hospital.
Yes, sir.
Is that right? On Tuesdays, he sees, what does he do on Tuesdays?
He sees patients in the morning
Okay.
till like in the afternoon, but then he goes back to the hospital and do procedures.
Okay. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he sees patients, right?
Yes.
On Fridays, he does procedures.
Yes.
And what kind of procedures does Dr. Murray do?
Cardiac catheterizations.
Okay. And this is at the hospital.
Yes.
Okay. It's not unusual, I believe you testified, for Dr. Murray to call in to the office, right?
Yes.
It's something you guys kind of expected, right? On
Yes.
a daily basis. Mm-hmm. He wants
Yes.
He wants to check in on his office.
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things that Ms. Brazil asked you is that some of the things that occurred if Dr. Murray wasn't in the office, and you mentioned two procedures, for lack of a better way to put it. The echocardiogram, right?
Yes.
And what would happen is a tech would come in and do the test,
Yes.
and later Dr. Murray would take a look at it and interpret it and talk to the patient about it.
Yes.
And then the other one was this ECC?
ECP.
ECP. Is that sort of like a, how do you put it? A way for the heart to recover, like an exercise type machine? Is that what that is?
Yes.
Okay. Is there movement involved?
Nothing. Just putting pressure on the lower extremities. Like
Okay. And that helps with blood flow and
flow
all?
back to the heart. Yes.
Okay. So other than those two particular processes or procedures, or however we're going to describe them, that's all that occurred when Dr. Murray wasn't at the office.
Yes.
And if prescriptions needed to be filled, Dr. Murray did that.
Yes.
Is that right? If patients need to be consulted, Dr. Murray did that.
Yes.
And usually when Dr. Murray did see patients, it amounted to a long day. Right?
Yes.
Had a lot of patients.
Yes.
And they waited for a long time to talk to Dr. Murray, didn't they?
Yes.
But they waited.
They would wait.
And Dr. Murray took his time with each individual patient.
Yes, sir. He sees patients like 15, 30, 45 minutes per patient.
When you decided to volunteer in Dr. Murray's office, why did you want to do that?
Because I wanted to learn, experience how it is to work as a medical assistant.
Was it your idea? Did you ask Dr. Murray about that?
I did.
Why did you think that working with Dr. Murray was something you wanted to do?
Because he was my grandmother's. My grandmother was his patient, and I've seen how he treated my grandmother. So I said, if I asked him if I could volunteer at his office.
How did he treat your grandmother?
He was really nice to her. He would talk to her, but my grandmother doesn't really speak English, so I would translate for Dr. Murray.
So he would sit there or stand there and talk to your grandmother, and what language were you interpreting?
Tagalog.
Okay. And he would have a conversation with her.
Yes, sir.
Did Dr. Murray get to know your grandmother?
I'm sorry?
Did Dr. Murray get to know your grandmother?
Yes.
One of the things about Dr. Murray, the differences in Dr. Murray, one of his character traits is he had a tendency to be friends with his patients, didn't he?
Yes.
It was kind of odd. I mean, they all kind of got along. He knew about their family. He knew about their
That's
what
right.
church they went to. I mean, he was friends with them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And as it turns out, a lot of these patients had a tendency to have an attachment to Dr. Murray,
They do.
like Bob Russell.
Yes.
That's a good example of that. Dr. Murray say Bob Russell.
Well, there was a comment or a question.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
see an answer.
Okay.
Or hear it.
That's a good example of a patient that had an attachment to Dr. Murray.
Yes.
Dr. Murray had saved his life.
Yes.
And Bob Russell well, let me go back. Let me change. We had in the office we had Leah, right?
Yes.
We had Stacy.
Yes.
We had you.
Yes.
And I'm gonna call you Connie because I can't pronounce your last name.
Well, how about Ms.
Ung?
Is that how it's pronounced?
It's Nung.
Nung.
No.
Got it. Okay. Miss Nung, the three of you had hoped to continue at that office after Dr. Murray left to work with Michael Jackson. Is that right?
There's also Carol and Sarah in the
Okay.
office.
Everybody hoped to continue.
Yes.
And Dr. Murray was trying to get a doctor to replace him to take care of his patients.
Yes, he told us that he's trying to get a competent doctor to oversee his patients while on his absence.
You eventually had to stop working for Dr. Murray.
Yes.
But the reason you had to stop working for Dr. Murray was because of what happened with Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Relevance.
Just a moment. The objection's overruled. The answer remains.
Dr. Murray had to shut down his practice after that.
Yes.
It got to be a zoo.
Objection, relevance.
I'll sustain the objection. 350, 352. You need not answer.
Tell me the process by which, tell me how Dr. Murray broke it to the staff that he was going to go on tour or with Michael Jackson. On tour is a bad way to put it. To go help Michael Jackson while Michael Jackson was on tour. How did he break that to you?
How he told us
Yeah,
he's going on a tour?
Yeah, how did he tell you? Did he gather up everyone? How did this happen?
Yes, he talked to everybody all at the same time, and he said that he's going on a sabbatical. He's going on a tour with Michael Jackson.
And was everybody pretty much supportive of that?
Yes.
Were you excited for him?
Yes.
Why were you excited for him?
Because it's Michael Jackson, and everybody knows Michael Jackson.
Right. Did he happen to tell you when he would hope to come back?
He mentioned that he'll probably be back towards the end of the year.
Okay. Ms. Nung, thank you very much. Thank you,
Shut
John.
off. Thank you. Ms. Brazil, redirect exam?
Nothing, thank you, Your Honor.
May Ms. Nung be excused in the case, Ms. Brazil?
Yes.
Mr. Chernoff?
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Nung, I want to thank you for your testimony. Please don't discuss either your testimony or the facts of the case with any other witness until we finish the trial. You may step down and leave. You are excused.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Ms. Brazil?
Yes. Bridget Morgan.